For this warm-up, we're going to start in Baddha Konasana, butterfly position. So bringing the soles of your feet together as close as you can to the groin. You're just going to take your hands and open up your feet, almost as if you're reading a book. So the outer edge of your feet is still going to be connected, but what that does is it pushes your hips a little bit closer to the ground. You can also use your elbows to push your knees to the ground or tuck your elbows in. Now pushing your feet out a little bit more, this time rounding the back, really trying to get that nose down to the feet. Our elbows are in. Couple deep breaths here, not focusing on the flexibility, but really just rounding out that back, feeling into those shoulders, trying to get that nose down to your feet. And then coming up, bringing those feet in again, and then one last time, normal butterfly, elbows tucked in this time. Exhale, down, inhale, come back up. Now opening up to a seated straddle position, we are going to do first just a little bit of active stretching. So with our feet flexed, inhale, raise your hands high to the sky, and then exhale, I just want you to pulse forward. So we're pulsing with a straight back because most of us can't just pancake down to the ground, actively stretching, and then rotating your torso to the right and then coming down to that right leg. So a hand on either side, straight back. Once again, our goal is not coming all the way down, but rather keeping that back straight and really stretching. Inhale up to center and then over to the left-hand side. Once again, arms on either side, gaze towards your toes, and then inhale back up to center. So we're going to do a little bit more active stretching. We're going to do some roll throughs. You're going to go down to the right, moving through the middle to the left, back up to center. Running through this a couple times, focusing on keeping your back straight, down to the right, through center, over to the left, and back up. And then switching sides, down to the left, rolling through middle, really engaging your core, really focusing on keeping a nice straight back and just extending out past your feet. Now, one last time, all the way through, following your breath, and then meeting back in center. We're going to do a couple exercises just to get into those hips. So bringing your fingertips on either side of your right thigh, you're just going to lift your leg 3 times. And then move your fingertips down to your knee, lifting 3 times, engaging that core, down to your calf 3 times. That's going to be the hardest one, right? And then over to the left-hand side, starting up at your thigh, lifting for 3 times. You can do 10, you can do 5, however many you want. But moving down to the knee, doing another couple, and then all the way down to the shin or the ankle for that really lower core engagement. And now we're going to be bold. Let's do both sides, fingertips in the middle. You can lean back and just lift both of those legs. You're going to feel a nice cramp in those hip flexors probably, so hug your knees to your chest, rock it out, feel it out. I'm sure that's something that you haven't felt before, but it's a great exercise to do. And then we'll come into my favorite, forward fold, Paschimottanasana. So you always want to start in Dandasana. So staff pose, our feet out, our knees are engaged, pulling up, our feet are flexed, our legs are so engaged that our heels are almost off the ground. And then we inhale our arms up, keeping a flat back, folding forward. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're right on our sit bones. We pulled out any of the fleshy bits so that extension forward is really hinging at the hips as opposed to just trying to round our back to get closer to our legs. Okay, now there's a couple different variations that you can take in this seated forward fold. So you can go with peace fingers, grab your big toes, right? Pull your elbows out, and that's how you get closer, keeping that back straight. You can also do this with a strap, so putting the strap on the pads of your feet and then once again pulling those elbows out. We always lift our gaze before we release. Now, there's 2 options that you can do with a block. So if you are less flexible, go ahead and prop the block up underneath your butt. This works for a pillow, a blanket, anything really. What it does is it just gives you a little bit of height, a little bit of elevation to get a better form in your seated forward fold. Okay, so it's putting you directly up on those sit bones and easier to hinge forward towards those toes. Now, if you are on the opposite end of the spectrum and you're very flexible, take the block, put it on the other side of your feet, and you're essentially just using it as longer legs, right? You're extending your legs, your feet, so that you can stretch a little bit further while maintaining that nice alignment, deep stretch all the way through the backs of the legs.